The Cowboys have entered the chat. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Of course, we know the Eagles just won in dominant fashion over Kansas City. They lost by only a field goal to the Chiefs, if you remember, 2 years ago in the Super Bowl II. Yet still, a division rival of the Eagles, which would be the Cowboys, and their quarterback, Dak Prescott, believe they're closer than we might think to competing at the same level. What say you, Dak Prescott?
I feel like we compete with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we've played them. I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the trophy right now. So credit to them. They've earned it and they deserved it by all means. But, yeah, very close, especially when you even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And as I said, feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time. To see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us.
Dominant fashion. Eagles beat the Cowboys twice this year by a combined score of 75-13. Nonetheless, Jeff Saturday is here now. Stephen A., I'm going to go back to you. Delusional or confident is Dak Prescott with that statement?
Well, clearly delusional. We know this. This is Dak Prescott. When has he not been delusional? I mean, we've seen evidence of this time and time again from this guy. I will give him credit for this, though. I want to thank Dak Prescott because I happen to care about my brethren in print media. That's where my career originated in print media. And I want to thank Dak Prescott for giving them material. I mean, I really, really appreciate it because, you know, the job can get boring when you don't get material. And when you have a star quarterback for a team that has been inept, moribund, unproductive, non-succeeding, etc., and your star quarterback, who unjustifiably is the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, continues to run his mouth in inexplicable fashion, I have to acknowledge that, you know, at least the journalists benefit from it. So I got to thank him for that. I really, really do. Now, as for the team itself, I mean, respectfully, he just needs to go someplace and be quiet. The fact of the matter is that right now, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions are in the NFC East. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. The team they beat to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC Championship game are the Washington Commanders, who has a offensive rookie of the year in Jaden Daniels, who was nothing short of sensational. By the way, in that NFC Championship game, Jeff Saturday, correct me if I'm wrong, Jaden Daniels, the rookie, was the one who showed up. It was the veterans that were dropping passes, fumbling the ball, you know, committing turnovers, etc. The rookie showed up, okay? Yep. He's not going anywhere. And so we have a situation where Dak Prescott is entering his 10th year. And a guy that was drafted in the second round has been to 2 Super Bowls and won one now. And a rookie has been to an NFC Championship game first year. But Dak Prescott's been in the league for 10 years and ain't been to one NFC Championship game. But he talking. You would think that you wouldn't be so tone deaf, that you would have the decency to recognize your position and say, I might need to shut the hell up. It just might be the wise thing for me to do. But I guess at whatever event he was at, clearly he was a star attraction and maybe he was trying to fundraise or whatever, and it was apropos for him to give quotes. Because that's the only justification that I can think of for Dak Prescott to even open his damn mouth the week, just a couple of days after watching the NFC East bring home a Super Bowl championship, and it wasn't your franchise for the 29th year, approaching 30.
I guess he didn't care that much about McCarthy. Didn't he say he wanted McCarthy to stay? I'm going to give Prescott a little break. Sure. I know. I mean, it was a cancer fund outing. Right. I mean, he's the star. He's got to answer a million questions. The Eagles in the NFC East. Okay. Well, I didn't know that either, Stevie. I was just going by the background that I saw at the cut. I saw the word cancer, so he must have been in some. So I'm going to give the kid a little break. You're 100% right. And what is there to echo? He never wins in a postseason. The Eagles have been to 2 Super Bowls. Ooh. Washington gets to a championship game. Daniels is better than he is. So I understand. I mean, it looks silly to say that. But, you know, the problem with the Cowboy quarterback is everywhere you go, and it's very, you know, infrequently where you meet the media in the offseason, you got to answer 3,000 questions.
Well, that's for sure.
Now, what's the first question they're going to ask you? What's the Eagles winning?
Right.
What's he going to say? Yeah, we stink. They won. He's in a tricky spot. Yeah. And he's getting paid $60 million a year.
That's right.
So he's in a tricky spot. It's almost a layup to beat him up.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I think I'll take a pass. Saturday.
Dougie and Jeff, I just
Yeah.
want to emphasize, I had no idea that it was a cancer event.
Nor did I.
I didn't see that in the background. I had no idea.
just saw
I
it.
just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
absolutely, Steve. I shouldn't have even said it.
Yeah.
I just saw the cancer thing. So did Jeff
Right.
behind you.
And I think from and I think Stephen A. We all agree. Like I didn't have a problem with him saying, yeah, we're right there at the cusp. You're the star of your football team. You got to bring some life to your locker room. My problem was when he was like, yeah, check the record or whatever it was. Check it. I was like, I mean, you were 12-5 3 years in a row. I'll go back and look at those records. But the last year's record definitely didn't want to go back and check that. I know they beat Washington, but that had nothing to do with this comment. I think for Dak, he's trying to generate energy. Obviously, you lose your head coach. You hire from within, Schottenheimer. He's trying to sell the franchise. The truth of all of it, and Stephen A., you and I have talked about it all season. Doggy, you have as well. This is out of his hands. The truth is, without Jerry and Steven stepping up big time this offseason, they'll be the third best, maybe the fourth, depending on what the Giants do, in their division. That's a problem because Philly ain't going anywhere. Washington's only getting better. They're going to retool. They got a bunch of money. If you're Dallas, you have now watched two teams in your own division, supplant you, but they are in a position to continue. You got it, and it's Jerry and Steven. They're going to have to go get some. They got to get some linemen. They got to get D linemen, offensive linemen. They got to get a receiver, a running back. There's a lot to do that's out of Dak's hands. And irrespective of how well you think he can play, if they go in armed like last year, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah,
By the way,
100%.
they're $3.5 million over the cap too right now.
Yeah.
So how are you going to do
way,
all
yeah.
that with
Well,
$3.5 million
they'll
over the cap?
redo Dak's contract. He's at like 89 million. They're going to redo some stuff. They got to get Micah signed. Like, I feel for Dak, and I really do. But I mean, but you can't say that. Like, you can't say check the tape. Like, don't say that part. That's the part that you just went over.
By the way, I just learned he was at the Children's Cancer Fund Gala. That's where he was given, so he did have to speak, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's apropos, definitely so. But the other point, back to football, Jalen Hurts has as many Super Bowl appearances as Dak Prescott has playoff wins.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a
That's
tough scene.
painful.
It's a good point, Steve. You're right.
And the Eagles have won 3 Super Bowls, one with a backup quarterback, and they've been to two since then with Hurts, 1-1 loss.
All of this has happened
not going anywhere.
since Dak. All of this has happened since Dak Prescott has been in Dallas. Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts has lost and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Not
Prescott 9-4 against the Eagles, but that goes back to 2016. Last year, not a great record against them. So maybe since the Cowboys,
he's thinking in the division.
exactly.
He's thinking in
but
the
since
division.
the Cowboys have been asleep the last year, the Commanders have gotten really good, and the Eagles went and won a Super Bowl. So it's a little bit tough. Still to come here on First Take. Patrick Mahomes' chase for GOAT status took a bit of a hit in the Super Bowl.
Well, folks, welcome to another roller coaster of an offseason in Dallas. Y'all remember how last year was all about locking in Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb? Well, 2025 is shaping up to be the Micah Parsons show. The man's coming up on the 5th-year option of his rookie deal, and let's be real, he's about to get paid. We're talking a contract that could make him the highest-paid linebacker in all of American football. Right now, he's set to pull in $24 million in 2025, a nice jump from his rookie earnings. But the real money's going to come if Jerry Jones and the front office decide to get that extension done. Now, let's talk numbers. Nick Bosa's the top-paid defensive guy in the league, sitting pretty at $34 million a year. If Parsons lands anywhere close to that, we're looking at a serious shakeup in the Cowboys' cap space. And if history tells us anything, Dallas ain't exactly quick with these deals. Prescott and Lamb had to wait till after training camp last year, so what's stopping them from dragging their boots again with Parsons? If they don't get this wrapped up soon, the franchise tag could be in play for 2026, and that's a whole other can of worms. But it ain't just Parsons that Dallas has to think about. Free agencies knocking on the door, and some key players are about to hit the market. Zach Martin, Osa Odigizua, Eric Kendricks, DeMarcus Lawrence, Chauncey Golston, Brandon Cooks. The list goes on. Kendricks proved his worth last season as a rock-solid tackler, and with DeMarvion Overshown's return still up in the air, bringing him back could be a smart move. Odigizua another name that'll be tough to let go, especially with that defensive line already stretched thin. And then there's Martin, one of the best to ever do it for Dallas. But at 33, is it time to move on? This whole situation ain't just about numbers on a paycheck. It's about keeping the Cowboys competitive in the NFL. If they go all in on Parsons, what does that mean for the rest of the roster? Can they afford to hold on to their other key guys and still put together a team that can make a deep playoff run? These are the questions Jerry and co. need to answer before the clock runs out. Now, let me ask y'all, if you're running this team, do you break the bank for Parsons and risk losing some key veterans? Or do you spread that money around and keep more depth on the roster? What's the move?